What I think about Richard Wolff video request. I think Richard Wolff is a fucking asshole. Just kidding. He's this dude who I guess came up from humble roots or whatever, but then he went to like a good Ivy League school, and he learned that it's, and then he learned that it's all just a bunch of um, people meeting people in college just to make business um, dealings later, and no business, have as small of small of a knit business community as they can. They even have their little, inside gangs, the Skull and Crossbones George Bush was in, and this kind of shit. And to try to preserve the wealth discrepancy, get in the club, and because they think that the smarts are the best. Um, Trump illustrates that better than anybody. So, oh yeah, I forgot what I was doing. I was doing a video on Richard Wolff. Yeah, so he was like, "Fuck this," became a socialist. I guess like Bernie Sanders, a socialist. He re-explained. He likes to do these monthly posts on YouTube explaining what's going downtown with like giving speeches at places where people go and watch him, and with the world. I think he's predicting that the world's going to go socialist. He's the one who gave me these ideas that the world's going socialist. I've been listening to him. I don't know if he has a new one out, but yeah, he was talking about how Greece is going socialist, and they have a new guy in, a young guy in. Canada went socialist. Was it Portugal? They legalized weed. And Europe is successfully socialist. The whole world's going to go socialist. And he's probably talking about how Sanders is going to go socialist. And he was talking about a lot of historical parallels. And he actually is in a really good way explained, what happened, what got us out of the problem that capitalism started was socialism. That capitalism's problem and not socialism's solution. Capitalism was when you get rid of all the regulations, and bankers could vote with their own money, with other people's money, which caused the crash of '29. And there was, but previous to that, there was so much wealth discrepancy. I think one guy owned like 60% of the whole country. Those guys were crazy rich. Like his staircases were like $3 million in their time, I think. Crazy. And then Teddy Roosevelt broke up the oil companies and the railroad companies, and and then in 1929, socialism fixed it, because everybody is like, oh, out of work, but all the rich people are doing fine and just sitting around like, our businesses are losing money, damn, but they have money stacked away. So what Franklin Roosevelt told, basically scared, there was about to be a revolution, and Franklin Roosevelt told the rich business owners to cough up the money. And so we changed tax structure, and we funded the public highway system on the money that the rich people paid, because they had to, because they fucked up the taxes for them. So basically, what Bernie Sanders says he's going to do, what his plan, what he's trying to get elected because he says he's going to do it, is the same exact thing that Franklin Roosevelt did that got us out of the Depression. Taking the rich people's money and using it to do social programs and to provide jobs and make the biggest industry ever. Biggest growth ever. So yeah, I like Richard Wolff and I like socialism, and I like the way that he explains stuff from an insider's perspective, because I guess he knows them, and so he likes to mock them. You got to do what I tell you to do. Yeah. Yeah, I believe that socialism is more betterer than anarchy because than capitalism, because capitalism is controlled by the companies, and you cannot. Did I already say this in this video? You cannot de-elect and elect the leaders of the companies, because the companies are controlled by a small group of people, shareholders, who are appointed, and the company is just the company. It's like a microcosm of the kingdom. He gets to be the company manager, king forever, and then so that's why they make the crazy ass decisions. It's not democratic. For example, just a couple days ago, this company laid off the refrigerator cooler company laid off 3,000 workers because they're moving to Mexico, saying because they were having problems, but they weren't having problems at all, and the CEO was making $20 million in 2013 and $10 million in 2014. Yeah, so they're with socialism. The companies and all that's controlled by the country, the government, and the people who are in control of the government are elected in. So it's making it more democratic. It's cutting out the middleman. The middleman, we have lots of middlemen: lobbyists, advertisers, TV, donors, politicians themselves, frontmen, middlemen for the business owners who get them elected because we're stupid. Now with socialism, you cut all that out because if the guy who made the bad decision for your company that's owned by the government, you vote the motherfucker out. It's because, and everybody knows why and how it happened. It doesn't have to go through this chain of this word convoluted cause and effect system. It's direct, and it has more to do with the rule of law. The country has, when you have laws that are written by the country and people who are elected, then you have longer laws, and it's more laws, and they stay on the books longer, and it's more permanent, and it's more set in stone. You can't have laws that a certain company that may not exist in a couple of years, because it could go bankrupt, and then the leader could just start another company and then make his own new laws. It's the pattern of the evolution of laws, and then following the rule of law. As you get more, as you go in the future, the rule of law becomes more and more solidified. In tribal society, it's just the strongest guy, the smartest. The strongest guy is the war leader, and the smartest guy is the peaceful leader. And his son is probably going to be the leader because he had the most advantages. But then then that gets solidified into the kingdom, and then it works because the resources are so small. Only a few people can read or visit people from other countries, and so the prince gets to become king because he's the best guy, because there's not that many talented. But then you get the invention of the printing press. Everybody can read, so everybody can travel around because they can have the horse and buggy, especially with cars. And then you can, so the talent pool becomes larger. So then it's not the son of the king anymore. It has to be elected. It has to change into a democratically elected economy. And then, but then when you have all this new industry, you have to allow people to invent and create new things, and kind of have free reign with their own money to invent their own laws. And then when they become extremely successful, it has to then transfer over to the government because they figured it out. And so, okay, thanks, person. We're going to take what you have, like when they die, take what they have, nationalize it. And they perfect it with the election of the people directly. You can't just keep it and have the guy go, okay, this is mine, and I'm going to keep it to do bad things. And we all know all the bad things. It's coming from people having too much control. People are saying bad things about socialism because, why is this going to sleep? People are saying bad things about socialism because because of Russia. What the fuck's wrong with Russia? I'm sorry. Russia's just got its own problems, man. From all the Mongols coming over and making them lick their boots and all that shit. They've been all uneducated peasants the whole time. You know, the czars, they were had czars all the way up until World War One. Why don't they just pay attention to the happy, more advanced European socialists, who are older countries than America anyway, so they're more advanced than us? Alex de Tocqueville, the French writer in the, I guess, 1700s of America, traveled through America, said Americans, you know, they were more free and, you know, they could micromanage stuff better or whatever, you know. Like one guy could have lots of different jobs. But they were less sophisticated, you know, than the Europeans. And so maybe Europe now is more sophisticated. They're just ahead of us politically. And but we're all evolving together. China is trying to get back to the ancient Confucius rule, kind of rule of law that they're proud of. You know, they have such a rich history. They're trying to not be so like us. You know, we're the rich businessmen. There's a rich businessman in China who has like $5 billion. You know, they got a bunch of billionaires too, and so. You know, and with socialism, you can devise, you can take it on from there, making it very democratic, with more and more laws, and people voting more and more directly on specific laws. Instead of having one guy decide what the law is, you just have people vote on the laws, and that's, you know, like, I guess, into communism. Yeah, when everybody owns everything, or is owned by. See, in the future, you don't really care what you own because we have everything, you know? I mean, imagine when everything's automated and everything's created. Nobody's going to want anything. Nobody's going to be hungry for money. So, and that's possible. Nobody's going to, like me, I'm not hungry for money. I mean, I'm hungry for money because all I need is enough money to buy rice, vegetables, my electricity, my internet, and oatmeal and fruit, you know? That shouldn't be too much to ask for. And water, you know, it's not that much, and I'm happy because I have so much to do, because I have the computer and I have a bike to go ride, and that's all you need. And that's what that's what a healthy person, that's all a healthy person needs. In the future, people will be healthy, so that's all they want. They'll have their house, you know. Now people have kids, and then they grow up, but when people have a bunch of kids, now you're spending all your time taking care of your kids. There's so much to do in the world. Having one kid was enough work. The rest of the time, you're going to want to be having fun doing your stuff in the world. And so our population will be under control. First world countries' populations are under control. We've demonstrated that with Italy, Japan, and, you know, other countries. So, yeah, so it's the way of the future. When the government owns everything, because nobody wants to own anything. You just want to be administrators of the thing to keep the system going, and then so you can have your spare time to do your fun things. You know, having money, you can travel more, and those people who have the power and more responsibility would have more interest in travel more. But people would have enough. You know, and so that's why socialism is best. You know, when you deregulate, like how Carson wants. Yeah, that's just him saying we want more monopoly. He's just being a puppet. It's amazing how people don't get it. So, yeah, I think I've talked long enough. That's what I think about Richard D. Wolff.